Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. All right, let's get into our first story, where our OP, a third-year apprentice chef, walks into a restaurant for a job interview, and a wild Karen mistakes him for an employee. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with a turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. You're a chef, so go cook my steak. At the time, I was a third-year apprentice chef going for a job interview, and they told me to arrive in my chef uniform, as the interview's also an audition that you have to make a dish that they ask for. So I did everything and was told, "We'll call you." Still in my chef uniform, and I was hungry and thought, why the hell not? I'll place an order. While I was waiting, I did notice a table of ladies watching me, but did not say anything at all. My food arrived, and I was scoffing it down, as I have to go back to my job soon, as I was not on a split shift. I was on a straight and was given an hour's break. Then I noticed someone was standing next to me with a plate of food in their hands, looking at me. I said hi and continued to keep eating. They got my attention again and started to look upset with me, which I have no idea why. "I ordered a steak well done. Does this look well done to you?" they asked. I looked at the plate and wanted to laugh, but did not. "No, it looks medium well." "And your point?" I asked, not caring, as I wanted to finish so I can get back to work. She slammed the plate in front of me. Food went flying. Lucky for her, nothing landed on my plate. "Instead of enjoying your food, maybe you should cook the way your paying customers had asked for," she snapped. I looked at her in shock. "What, you think I work here, love?" "Sorry, I do not. I'm just having lunch, then I'm gone." "Maybe go ask that person for help," I told her. She looked pissed. "No, you're a chef. You got the clothes on. Go back into that kitchen and cook my food the way I'd asked and paid for." I rolled my eyes now, as I had enough of her yelling at me. "Listen here, lady. I was here for a job interview, and they told me to wear my uniform, which I am. I did not cook that steak for you. As you know, I do not work here. Please go talk to the front of the house. They can actually help you, as I do not work here." I snapped, because if you look at my chef jacket, it had a bright pink word of sugar, which was the name of the cafe I worked at, with pink buttons and pink and white checkered chef pants. This place is straight up black jackets with white or black buttons and gray small checkered chef pants. The head chef wore all white. So I was shocked that she went to continue on yelling at me, and that was when I noticed the head chef walking over towards us, asking what was going on, and she turned on him. "Your young staff member here is refusing to recook my steak." The head chef smiled at me, then at her, maybe because she doesn't work here. "But please, bring your plate with me and tell me what's wrong with it." She looked at him in shock. "She doesn't work here?" she asked. I smiled at her. Like I said, I don't work here right now. I snapped, finished off the last bite, and walked off, leaving her stunned. I ended up working at that place, and it turns out she's always complaining about her food, but she keeps coming. I'd remind her of it every time I saw her, come out of the kitchen to her table and say, "Hi, I remember you. We'll make your steak just the way you like it." Then make her a great steak, but she'll always wonder every time, maybe she'd stop darkening the doorway with her presence. And our second story. She got skinny, got mean, and got erased. About 15 years ago, I met a gal through mutual friends who we'll call Wanda. She was the center of a tight-knit group, and she was always planning parties, dinners, etc. for everyone. She was very generous and social. She and I grew very close, in part because we were both overweight and we decided to be workout buddies. We went to the gym 4 to 5 days a week together, and I considered her one of my best friends. Wanda never seemed to lose any weight, and she was noticeably frustrated when I went down a few sizes. All bodies are different, and this just didn't do anything for her. Without telling anyone, Wanda got lap band surgery. She wasn't proud, but I was supportive. Wanda changed a lot. As the pounds dropped off, she stopped working out with me. She met some younger, thinner friends that she preferred to hang out with, and they'd shop at stores that Wanda and I had never been able to go to. I was happy she'd reached her body goals, but she didn't treat me the same. She acted disgusted by my appearance and criticized my eating habits. She was generally cold towards me, even though I hadn't done anything to her. One day, she ended the friendship out of the blue. She only gave me tenuous reasons, but by then, she was such a different person that it didn't matter. I would have let this go, except I learned through mutual friends that she'd been bad-mouthing me for months. Everything from how I ate too much at the dinner she'd organized to how I was jealous of her to how my clothes were, to her, laughably ugly. Here's where the petty revenge happened. I'd been attending her parties and dinners for years and had been dubbed the unofficial photographer. I'd taken hundreds of photos, which made up about 90% of Wanda's tagged photos on Facebook. I deleted every photo of her post-lap band surgery, every photo of her from every event where she had acted better than me and talked about me behind my back, gone. All the other event photos were there, but she was noticeably absent from them. The only tagged photos of her were from when she was bigger than me, at a weight where she hated her body, was actually a decent person. I hope she eventually realized that being thin didn't make her a better person, but in reality, she was probably just embarrassed that all the good pictures were gone. Edit. This happened years ago, but since then, she's only gained back a little bit of the weight. She did lose all her friends from that time, both the old and new. I sometimes see her around town, and she pretends not to see me at all. This is good revenge. I'm so sorry that you lost a friend who let vanity get to her head to the point she became mean and arrogant. Funny that her arrogance would be her downfall when it became bullets for your revenge on her. And our next story. I calculated it myself, so the register is wrong. So earlier this year, I started working in a local grocery store, so when this story happened, I was still fairly new to everything, and I wasn't wearing a headset at the time, so if something were to happen, I'd have to ask a colleague to call someone. Also, we have extra screens that show the customers the items that are scanned and their total, and the registers are shared by two people facing away from each other. I already knew the lady this story's about because the first time she was at my register, she snatched the receipt out of my hand, telling me to just put it down. So when I saw her in the line to my register again, I knew I had to make everything perfect. She comes up and I start scanning her items. On a side note, she bought 100 cans of cat food and some other stuff, and I tell her the total. She looks at the screen, then looks at me and says that can't be because she calculated it and the register's wrong. She then proceeds to recalculate the items in her head, props to her, I couldn't do this, and tells me the total she comes up with, which is about $4 less. I'm kind of lost since, if the register tells me the price, I can't change anything about it. In comes the manager of the evening who backs me up after checking if I did everything right. The lady still says it can't be and recalculates at least 3 more times, asking for the manager, not knowing she's already there, then asking for someone higher up. It was late, the manager was the highest person in the store. In between, she tells us she's going to take the receipt with her and she wants to have it. Me and the manager tell her she can have the receipt, but she has to pay first. She actually took so much time with complaining and recalculating and everything that another customer in line offered to pay the difference. She finally decides to pay, once again snatching the receipt out of my hand, and she leaves. That was already a wild ride for me because she was the first really rude customer I had. But, it happens. I know that now. But the story doesn't end there because the next time I work, she comes up to my register from the outside of the store. She wasn't shopping and came directly to me. I was scanning another customer's items and told her to wait, and I was already looking for a way to get someone to help me if she gets rude again, since I wasn't wearing a headphone thing and I was alone in the register booth. But I got a really pleasant surprise because she came up to apologize to me. That, in fact, she calculated wrong and the register was right, and then she proceeds to tell me her life story, which I cut short. Other customers were waiting. And now, every time I work, she's in the store, she comes to my register, and is actually rather nice now. It's always weird when total strangers start telling you their entire life story. It's like, I don't even know you, and the odds of me ever seeing you again aren't that great. Please stop. Also, it's really possible for POS to have incorrect price, but a calculator from her phone would definitely save her time. And our last story. My evil neighbor tore down my shed, so I took him to court and built a better one. Years ago, I had the worst neighbor imaginable, an evil, grumpy old man who seemed to hate everything about me and my family. He never missed an opportunity to complain, whether it was about my kids playing in the yard, my dog barking once or twice, or even the music I played at a reasonable volume. He just seemed to enjoy making our lives miserable. At first, I just ignored him. I figured he was just one of those people who had nothing better to do than nitpick other people's lives, but then he took things to another level. One day he decided my shed was a problem. "That thing's an eyesore. It's making my property value drop," he barked at me over the fence one morning. I looked at him, completely unimpressed. My shed was perfectly legal, well-maintained, and in my own damn yard. "That's bullcrap," I told him, shaking my head. "My shed's on my property, and it's not going anywhere." He grumbled something under his breath and stormed off. I didn't think much of it after that. I had more important things to worry about than my grumpy old neighbor's tantrums. Then everything changed. One weekend, we took a family trip to the lake. It was a great weekend, sun, water, barbecues, and good times. When we got back, my kids came running up to me, completely panicked. "Dad, the shed's gone." I laughed at first, thinking they were messing with me. "Very funny, guys. Now help me unload the car." But when I glanced toward the backyard from the window, my heart dropped. The shed was actually gone. Not damaged, not vandalized, completely vanished. I stormed over to my neighbor's house, pounded on his door. He opened it with his usual smug expression, looking completely unbothered. "What the hell happened to my shed?" I demanded. He blinked at me, all innocent-like. "Shed? What shed? I don't know anything about a shed." I could feel the rage boiling inside me. He was so full of it, but I had one ace up my sleeve, one he didn't know about. Little did he know I had a camera in my backyard. I stormed back into my house, pulled up the footage, and what I saw made my blood boil. There he was in broad daylight, standing in my backyard with a couple of hired workers. They had demolished my shed, loaded the pieces into a truck, and driven off. This wasn't kids messing around or a misunderstanding. This was deliberate, calculated destruction. I immediately called the police and my lawyer. When the cop showed up at his house, he played dumb at first. "I didn't do anything. That shed was an illegal structure anyway." But the moment I showed them the footage, his face lost all color. He stammered, tried to backtrack, but it was too late. The cops took my statement and my lawyer got to work. I wasn't just going to get my shed back. I was going to make sure this guy paid for what he did. We took him to court for destruction of property, trespassing, and damages. During the trial, he tried every excuse in the book. The shed was illegal. Nope, I had permits. It was an eyesore. Not a legal reason to destroy someone's property. I was doing the neighborhood a favor. Nobody asked you, buddy. But the judge wasn't buying any of it. The security footage sealed his fate. The judge ruled completely in my favor. He was ordered to pay for the full cost of a new shed, plus damages, cover all my legal fees, pay a fine for trespassing. His smug attitude disappeared the second the ruling was read. With the money he was forced to cough up, I built a brand new shed, bigger and better than before. I even added some extra lighting and security cameras just in case he ever got another stupid idea. And the icing on the cake? He had to sit there and watch as it was rebuilt, bigger and better than before, right in the same damn spot. After that, he never spoke to me again. No more complaints, no more passive-aggressive comments. He knew that if he so much as stepped foot on my property again, he'd be in serious trouble. Sometimes justice is served best with a brand new, fully compensated shed sitting right in the yard where the old one was. This is the kind of justice that makes me grin. The audacity of this guy to just decide your shed was his problem and then go full demolition crew while you were gone. The best part is him sitting there, helpless, watching you build an even bigger and better shed, knowing that every plank, every nail, every dollar spent was coming straight out of his wallet. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.